All right, good morning. Welcome everyone. Today is Tuesday, March 29th. I'm Christina Dillabaugh, Director of Communications for the Desert Southwest Conference, and you are watching or joining us for another session of Tuesday Talks. Today we're going to start with a guest presenter, Paul Bullis. He is the chair of the Prison Reform Task Force for the Desert Southwest Conference. It's a subgroup from Church and Society. I think I said that right. So in case I make any other mistakes or say something wrong, I'm going to let Paul go ahead and talk about the upcoming webinar series, who needs to know about it, and I guess what to expect. Go ahead, Paul.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to give a little promo for the video series that we're going to be having from the Prison Reform Task Force beginning on Thursday, April 28th at 6:30 p.m. on Zoom. It's going to last 5 Thursdays, so to go through May 26th, every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. And it's going to be on the death penalty. The name of this series is called Questioning the Death Penalty. And it is based on and will involve a video series prepared by Sister Helen Prejean, who is an internationally known voice against the death penalty. She's the author of the book Dead Man Walking that the movie was based upon, as well as other books. And if any of you who have used the Living the Questions study in the past, she's also one of the speakers on Living the Questions. So we'll be our series will be based on her video series. So the first question that I ask myself is, why now? Why are we doing this series on questioning the death penalty right now? Well, in Arizona, there are more than 100 people on death row, and 20 of those people have exhausted all of their appeals. The Attorney General in Arizona has been pushing hard to execute 2 of those people over the last couple of years. And in January, he has filed a motion with the Arizona Supreme Court to issue a death warrant, which would give the state of Arizona 35 days to execute those persons. So the death penalty and executions is a current, immediate issue in Arizona. So that's one reason now is the time that we want to get this in front of people. This is also going to be starting right after Easter, which is when we celebrate the resurrection and new life. And which is so ironic, because that's the same time the state of Arizona is working overtime to take life away. So these are the reasons why now is the time for this study. As I said, the study is called Questioning the Death Penalty, and it's because it's about a journey of learning more about the death penalty, about asking questions about that. And Sister Prejean, who's the host of the video series that we'll be using, she was raised she's a Catholic nun. She was raised as a white woman of privilege in New Orleans. And so we learn of her own journey of coming to minister people in prisons, coming to minister to the poor, to be with the poor, and how her theology, how her thinking, how her understanding evolved. And you think, oh, if somebody's a nun, they come prepackaged with all of these points of view. And for her, it was a journey. So we learn about her journey and her ministry to people in prisons and to people on death row, and then finally ministering to the families of the victims of those persons on death row. So it's a real journey for her, and it will be a real journey for us. And we also learn about the journey of the Catholic Church to condemn the death penalty in all circumstances. Again, that was something when I did some research a year or two ago about the stance of the Catholic Church on the death penalty. My assumption was that that the Catholic Church had always condemned the death penalty, under all circumstances forever. I just assumed that was their point of view, and that's not the case. It didn't happen until just 10 or 20 years ago, where uh, when the Pope said, yes, that we oppose the death penalty in all circumstances. And Sister Prejean was a part of that discussion with the Pope on the death penalty. So she talks about that. So again, she shares with us her journey on coming to grips with the death penalty, with executions, and not only with the death penalty, but then also even beyond that to what about the victims and the families of the victims, which she always recognized was a huge issue, but for herself it was really a difficult step to go beyond that and start ministering to the families of the victims. She thought that they would not even want to hear from her, but she did. So anyway, it's a wonderful journey for her that we can be a part of. So this study is for people wherever they are on that journey regarding the death penalty, whatever questions they might have about the death penalty, or if they know people who are at different stages along their own journey. And so we can relate to people and have discussions with people who may be in a different location in their own journey. The series, again, it's 5 weeks beginning April 28th. We'll begin with a video of Sister Prejean to begin each session, and it'll be followed by discussion and questions. So we'll have a time to talk with each other, find out where we all are in the journey, and reflect on the questions and the issues that Sister Prejean brings up. And this is really exciting. We are also expecting to have Sister Prejean herself participating in one of the sessions. We're working out the details. We'll get a date, but we've been in contact with her and are anticipating that she'll be able to participate with us in one of the sessions. Again, she's international known, been on interviews a zillion times, been on Larry King, and so just a real wonderful voice on the death penalty and executions, and has a wonderful journey that she shares with us. This event is on the conference calendar. It's in the district newsletters, and it's on Facebook on the Prison Reform Task Force page. People need to register. So the link for registration is on the conference website. And if you go to the conference, thank you, Christina. If you go to the conference website, you can grab the graphic, and you can download that. You can grab the text, and there's also, you can just copy and paste the text and use that in your own e-news. The link there in green, if you double click on that, you can also download the website. If you want to if in your own e-news, you want to have a hot link on your own e-news, you can copy the URL for that link and paste it into your own e-news. So all that information is there. This is I think this is going to be a really interesting and fascinating study, and I think the time is now to do it for all the reasons that I mentioned. And so I hope you can get that information out to your people in your congregations and people you know. In fact, just one last personal note. At our church, Crossroads in Phoenix, we have a Wednesday evening Bible study, book study that we do all the time, every Wednesday. And so at our last meeting a couple of Wednesdays ago, I mentioned this study, and they were all very interested, and they said, hey, can we when this death penalty study is on, can we, instead of our Wednesday study, just cancel that and use this Thursday study about the death penalty in place of our Wednesday study? So got the okay from our pastor to do that. So we'll be using this for our own church for our regular weekly Bible study. So I think it'll be fun. Does anybody have any questions about it or what's going to be happening?
I think you explained it really well, Paul. Thank you. I was initially thinking for a minute there that maybe this was an event that, make sure you tell your church and society team or your missions team, but it sounds like, really anybody might be interested in going, and it's not just for a specific group, it's church-wide, right?
Everybody's invited. I think you're right that church and society or justice ministries may have more of an interest, but this is an issue that affects all of us, and everyone may have an interest, and certainly everyone is invited to participate, and we hope lots of folks can come.
Could you spell Sister Prejean's last name?
Her last name is spelled Prejen. Prejen. I pronounce it Prejen. I think that's approximately correct.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I mean, yeah, even just to hear about her journey, that's going to be incredibly inspiring for sure. Who knows what new ministries may get started because of this. So thank you so much for sharing, Paul. I'm going to include links to the website, the prison. It's dscumc.org/prison-reform. You'll find all the information there. I'll include a direct link to download the graphics. I'll include the Zoom registration. It's all going to be available if it isn't already on the Prison Reform site, but I'll also include a direct link to the Facebook post. So if that's the way that your congregation picks up information easier and faster, then you can do that. You could also reshare it on your church's Facebook so that you guys have it. I think that you might even be able to not join as a host, but share it as if it's also your church's event. I'll have to double check on that. But if any of you are able to do that, please send me an email so that I know that it's already set up and other churches can do the same. Okay, thanks again, Paul.
Thank you, Christina.
All right, so let's move on to the next item. The next item I have, it's just a note about our Desert Southwest. Well, it's from the Archives and History Committee or Commission. I'm not sure which one it is, but they're hosting the 2022. And so I'm not even sure if they're the ones that are hosting it, but the 2022 meeting of the Western Jurisdiction Commission on Archives and History is going to be happening on Saturday, April 2nd. The meeting starts at 10 a.m. and it's via Zoom. Anyone that's interested is invited to attend, but as communicators, for sure, share it with your archives people at your church. They may be interested in attending. I don't know what actually happens in these types of meetings, if there's new information or I don't know, but I'm sure the archives people will know all about it. So please be sure to share information about it with them. I'll include the Zoom registration link and a specific little, just like a 2 or 3 sentence blurb that you can send via email to your archives people or drop it in your church communications so people know that they can attend. It is posted in the Desert Southwest Conference Facebook group for Archives and History. So FYI, if you didn't know, we do have a Facebook group for Archives and History. So if your church archives enthusiasts are not already in there, I'll include the link to that Facebook group as well. So you can send that to them. Facebook group, sorry, writing a note. Okay, questions about that? Okay, the next item is about annual conference. Some of you might have heard, it's not official yet, but annual conference is now going to be in person. What I mean by it's not official is I don't think the contracts have been finalized, but there is a verbal agreement. That's what's going to happen is we're going to meet in person at the Mesa Convention Center again. And it's just going to be for those 2 days that would have been online only. It's going to be June, I think it's 10 through 11 or 11 through 10. Let me see here. Oh, it's 10 through 11. So I'll share my screen again. Here we go. Okay, so this is dscumc.org/annual-conference. If you're looking for a shortened URL, it's dscumc.org/AC. And so our theme is Thrive, from languishing to flourishing. Here's the logo, and you can access other versions of this logo by clicking here on this link. It takes you to a Google Drive, and as new graphics or new things come up, I'll just be loading them there so you can grab what you need. We still have our templates, and there is a presentation slides template here as well. I'm going to leave that in there because a lot of times for after annual conference maybe, or leading into annual conference, some churches like to have, I don't know if they like to or if they're required to, but sometimes churches have a presentation about annual conference. So that's why I'm leaving this slides template there. So you have something that's already pre-branded that you can use in your sharing about annual conference. So you'll see there's a lot of coming soon. There's going to be even more little informational boxes, but there is going to be a letter that our annual conference secretary is going to be sending out to all clergy and all lay members to annual conference about registration, about the nominations process, about all of these things that are mentioned here. Some of what's not going to be included in that letter is specifically about the worship services. And that's really something that we're going to include in the newsletter article about it. We'll have everything she has in the letter, plus information about the worship services, because the people that are getting the letter are the people that have to participate. The people that'll see the newsletter article might be some of those people that have to participate, but it's also going to be observers, other people that like to attend the worship services. And so they may want to travel to the annual conference session just for the worship service. So they're going to want to know where those services are going to be at, what service is happening when, that sort of thing. So we'll have that information in the article that comes out for the April newsletter. Do I have questions about that? Okay, so one of the items, oh yes, I gotta double check to see if that's in there. There's the pre-conference briefing registration to come soon. I'll include that specific date because I don't have it in my notes and I don't remember it off the top of my head, so that you can have that information ready, like for your calendars, or just make sure that the pastor and lay members, not the lay leader, but the lay members to annual conference have that handy. Because I think the letter isn't going to go out until the next week on Tuesday. So this way they have it a little bit sooner. Oh, yes. The other piece is about the clergy email accounts, the dscumc.net accounts. Now is a good time to check in with your pastors, make sure that they have access to that account. Not everybody has been having a great time with these accounts. We have had to provide some IT support here and there. And, so clergy that are looking for help can get it either on the phone or via email by contacting the help desk at GCFA. The email address is support@gcfa.org. The phone number is 855-700-9343. That phone hotline, whatever, for IT support is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, period. Additional notes is that when it's not office hours, like in the evening, super early in the morning, or weekends, it's still open, but it's somebody is assigned to be on call. So it's just like at a doctor's office. There might be a delay. It might be someone that answers the phone and says, oh, okay, I understand what you need. I'm not the person that can help you. Let me have that person call you back. So it might be something like that. So in case there's any frustrations, like there should not be an expectation that there's a huge team of people waiting to provide IT support 24 hours a day. That's just not the case. But it's nice to know that there is support available no matter what time of day it is. You'll be able to find someone. In case someone doesn't answer the phone, leave a message. Like I said, the on-call person, it's just one person. They might be on the phone with someone else. So as soon as they're done, they'll check the message and then get back to you, or I mean, the clergy person. So why am I making a big deal about it? Several reasons. One is because annual conference is coming around the corner here pretty soon, clergy need access to that account so they can get their voting credentials. That's the email address where we're sending all this annual conference information to. We are sending stuff in the newsletter as well, but lay members annual conference and clergy, they are the ones that are expected or required to be there. So they're going to get slightly different messaging than what you would see in the newsletter. So it's really important for clergy to have access to it. Just double check with your pastors to make sure that they do have access. If they're having any problems with it, they don't know how to put it on their phone so they can quickly access it. They don't know how to maybe create a quick link on their desktop or browser bookmark. All that stuff, GCFA can help them. It'll just be a 5-minute thing. So you don't have to worry about trying to solve everything for them. Have them contact the IT support, and they're not going to get billed for it. So it's all good. Questions about that? Okay, then so even if I guess one more thing to mention about the email addresses, even if your pastor is planning on attending annual conference in person, they still need to make sure they've got access to that email account, because even in person, they're going to need their voting credentials. And that's the only way they're going to get it, is through their email at dscumc.net. So I'm just sensing that there's going to be some frustration for the in-person people thinking, but I'm here. Why can't, I can just raise my hand. Can't they see that I'm raising my hand? Yes, but then it's not, the people online can't just raise their hands. So, everybody has to vote through the same method. So it's all fair and equal for all. All right. Next item is, it wasn't on my list. I failed to put it on there. It's about the Sunday after Easter worship service. Those materials are now available. I'm going to share my screen again on the dscumc.org/worship page. So if you click here, you'll be able to download the complete worship service out of Vimeo. If you click here, you'll find all the sections that were used to create the worship service. There's a couple things to note. First of all, with the complete worship service, you still will need to go into the Google Drive to grab a few things, potentially, because you would still need to add your church's CCLI license number in the sections of the music. I should have had it queued up, but actually let's go to the Google Drive then. Because here I can show you. I think maybe this might be one of them. No, of course it's not. Let's see. This one. Turn it. There we go. So this is what will be in the complete worship video. So your church worship media people could either grab the PowerPoint version of this and type in your church's license number and then put that into the complete worship video as an overlay covering up this one, or right on that video overlay text right here, then they don't have to worry about anything with the PowerPoint slides. Whatever is easier for you guys, doesn't matter, but you do need to have that license number in there. The conference's group license only covers conference events. And if your church is showing this worship service, it's your church's event. So you need to replace it with your own license number. So there is a little bit of work to do, even with the complete service. Okay, so now that we're in the Google Drive, there's a couple other things I want to mention. So things like, I think it was the second lesson, no, this one. So this one, the prayer of illumination, Psalm 118 reading, these are two separate sections that are part of the worship service, and you'll find the complete liturgy here. that one and where is it? Yeah, welcome. Oh, welcome and benediction. That's two separate sections. This is the bishop's video. He starts out with the welcome piece and then he pauses a little bit and then he has his closing benediction in there. So it's one video. You'll find those two components in there. There's also a video that Julie O'Neill had recorded. I'm trying to find that one. Call to worship. Here it is. Call to worship, opening prayer. That's two sections that are in one video. Just want to make sure that everybody sees that, we're not missing pieces. It's just when it's the same person, they recorded themselves once and just paused in between. So if your church is going to be creating their own or using pieces of it at a different service, that's where you'll find those kind of what seems like missing sections. Questions about that? Okay. Oh, about annual conference. Thank you for asking, Angie. So annual conference, yes, it is in person, but it is also live via Zoom. So I've totally forgot to mention that part. It is included in the letter and it will be mentioned in the article that people that are not comfortable going in person, don't have the funds for traveling, are feeling ill, whatever the situation may be, we're not going to ask. It's just you can choose to register to attend in person or register to attend online via Zoom. We will have training for how to do the voting in the pre-conference briefing. I think there's going to be training. There's definitely going to be training on the first day of annual conference as well. But I think we might also have a training the day before annual conference begins. I don't remember for sure. It might just be that it's included during the laity session and during the clergy session. I don't remember right now, but yes, people will be able to attend in person and via Zoom. And FYI, I think that right now what we're leaning towards is even if you register to attend in person, we may go ahead and send you the Zoom information in case something happens down the road that you find that you can't travel, you're ready to go to still participate, and we don't have to scramble to figure out some Zoom credentials for you. As always, though, for annual conference especially, it is very, very important to not share login information for Zoom. It's one login per person. The only people that should be joining that Zoom session are official delegates to annual conference, clergy and those lay members to annual conference. There will be no observers joining via Zoom. Instead, we'll have the live stream on, well, it'll be on YouTube, but it'll also be embedded on that same dscumc.org/AC page. So if you wanted to have a URL to send to anybody about annual conference information, live streaming, whatever, it's going to be at dscumc.org/AC or dscumc.org/annual-conference. Any other questions about that? Okay. Let's see, what else did I have? Okay, two more things. One, it's kind of a new thing that I just saw that there's, it's called Taking the Next Step. I just published an article about it from UMCOM, or maybe it's Resource UMC. It's a training, a communication training that's just been published, I guess. And I'm going to share my screen real quick so you can see. There we go. So May 9 through 13. Registration will open on the 12th. I'm going to include this URL so you can register. It's free. And it sounds like it's going to be a pretty great training session. So everything that's, I don't know if they included that in here. Doesn't look like it. Everything that, oh yeah, it is. Recording videos, tutorials, perfect. So basically you're going to be able to take this training as you have time. It's not necessarily like you have to log in at a specific time, and the entire session is going to be recorded and available to you for 6 months after you've started the training. or after you've taken it. So you could always go back and refer to different sections that are going to happen. They're going to have things like everything from how to utilize Canva even better. It's just a lot of stuff. I'll try to include additional information about it. They sent out an email that had a little more information than this little bit that they've got here. I try to share with you guys, good training opportunities when I find them, and this is one of them. I think if you can, make the time, especially because it's free. And if you don't have a whole lot of time right now, you can go back and check it out later. So register. All right. Next item is, okay. Email warning about OneDrive documents. So I'll try to put this in a much better language in my post notes, but I just saw this past week a really scary email. Sorry, my proofreading alarms are going off. Week is spelled Wex in that last share. Thanks. So what I saw, normally, I think I talked either last week or week before, just a brief note about, clicking on links and emails and making sure before you ever click on something, make sure it's coming from someone that you recognize. So last week I saw an email that the email address, the from address was correct. It was legitimate. And it looked like one person was sharing a OneDrive document. And so when that comes along, it looks a little weird, but even if it's legitimate, it looks a little weird. It's just all of a sudden this email with a graphic to the OneDrive document link. So it seemed valid to me. But I guess the person that got the email wasn't expecting to get a document from this other person. And so they flagged it and asked about it. So we sent it to our GCFA team to check it. Like, the email address is legit. So to me, it looks fine, but can you guys check it out? Turns out it was not okay. That person's email account had been hacked, and the link embedded in that OneDrive thing was to something else. I don't remember what it was, but so it wasn't a safe situation. My recommendation would be, if you're in the habit or somebody's going to send you a OneDrive document, number one, I think because they come out so weird looking and instantly flags are raised, even if it's legitimate, why not let the recipient know in advance, hey, I'm going to send you a OneDrive document with that. You'll get it before the end of the day. Then oh, okay, yeah, I was expecting this, it's fine. If you don't get a heads up like that, if you're not in the habit, if whoever sends it to you is not in the habit of doing that, before you open it, contact that person and ask them, did you send me a OneDrive document? Because I could not see how somebody would have known that this was not a legitimate email. So that would be my recommendation. It's sad that we have to do these extra things, but that's just the world that we live in right now. So questions about that? Okay. Then the final thing is, I had an email question from a church just as we were getting started. It says, I was wondering if our Zoom license allows us to record or stream. I'd like to use our Zoom platform to be able to record the service and then put it on YouTube or Facebook. Is that possible? So what I'm doing right now is through Zoom, and I'm simulcasting it to YouTube. We have a training recording, a video that shows you how to do that on the Desert Southwest Conference website. In the communications section, I will include a link to that so you can see how to do that. But you could also, this is what we did for those worship videos. People would record themselves, like schedule a meeting for themselves and record either in the cloud or to their computer and record their message. Now they've got their video and send it to whoever that's going to piece it together. So that's another option. You could pre-record your message. That way you have the opportunity to edit it, clean it up, do whatever, and then upload it into YouTube or Facebook. So either one, whether you're live streaming to YouTube while you're doing Zoom, or just using Zoom to record and then later upload it to YouTube, the answer is yes, you can use Zoom to record the service and put it on YouTube or Facebook. Questions about that? Any tips or warnings if any of you guys have used that before? Nope. All right, then that's all I've got. Thank you so much for joining me. 10:35, it's one of our longer Tuesday talks. That's okay. Thanks for sticking with me, and I'll see you guys next week. Don't forget to send me your emails if you have any questions or anything.